Welcome to this session. We will treat with subject matters of block first, paper 8, Indian English Literature. The topic of lecture for today is Indian non-fiction literature, an analysis. In this session, we will know what non-fiction literature is and how does it function. And can we call it literature? Because it doesn't entertain people by giving imagined facts. The non-fiction literature entertains people by giving the effect of the facts. These literatures are based on facts and truth. Honesty, confession, and truthfulness in expression are the ingredients of such kind of writings called non-fiction literature. Non-fiction's essay can also be called non-fiction because mostly essays are based on informative analysis of some facts. Biographies are nobody can express about anybody by imagining something. So biographies are also having facts. Memoir, very important genre of non-fiction, expresses the reminiscences of great people written by the writer himself, on himself, for himself. Autobiography is also a writing written by writer on himself, by himself. But in nature it is different from memoir. Memoir exposes the inner reminiscences contained in the mind of the author, whereas autobiographies needs chronological outset of one's life. Travelogue again entertains people by giving the effect of the facts and figures. We will study some essays of Indian luminaries of their time. Among them, Swami Vivekananda is mostly remembered and had been the favorite authors of the youth of today. It is because of his ideals that he followed in his life and philosophical ideology which he carried out throughout his life career, and with that only he influenced greatest philosophers and writers of his times. He is a visionary, may say inspired personality, is a man of spiritualism, is an eloquent speaker, inspiration for the youth, had been. Visionary, I said, because he never lived unconsciously. He always tried to aware himself, he always tried to make his mind conscious and heart conscious of the happenings surrounding him. He made himself so much sensitive that he could understand the matter of the mind of others sitting before him. He wasn't inspired, I used. Why? Because he loved his spiritual teacher Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and he had been most loving. Mostly he loved his teacher. He was much inspired. We Indian believe that the knowledge was circulated through the eyes of Ramakrishna Paramahansa to the eyes and heart of Vivekananda. So he did not only give the knowledge of truth or ontological discourses, but also embellished the soul and heart and mind of Vivekananda. In this manner, we call Ramakrishna Paramahansa as a spiritual teacher to Swami Vivekananda. Man of spiritual, everybody knows that he was an aware man. He was a conscientious man. He always thinks from the power of their spirit, his spirit, and so. He believed in the living life of the spirit. He believed more on the spirit than the body. So he always talked of the peacefulness of his spirit and peacefulness of the soul of man. He is an eloquent speaker. And one of the greatest examples of his art of eloquency is the essay which we shall discuss today, or we shall talk today. And this essay, we call it an essay, but it was one of the leading papers selected in the World's Parliament of the Religion, held in Chicago in 1893. I would love to say about facts of the papers accepted by the World's Parliament of Religion, and people spoke on the subject matters on that day. There were 158 papers on Christianity, 12 on Buddhism, 11 on Judaism, 8 on Hinduism, 2 on Islam, 2 on Parsis, 2 Shintoism, Confucianism, 1 Taoism, 1 Jainism. 19 women were also there to speak at this parliament of religion. The World Congress of Religion marks the first formal gathering of representatives of Eastern and Western spiritual traditions. Today it is recognized as the birth of formal interreligious dialogue worldwide. When Swami Vivekananda got an opportunity to speak before 5,000 assembled delegates, people had to accept the power of the spirit of Swami Vivekananda. His greetings affected the mind and heart of the audience and delegates sitting over there. My sisters and brothers of America. Powerful phrases. Sisters and brothers of America. reflects the culture of religious assimilation or assimilatory power of a religion, of what he will advocate in this essay called Hinduism. He defined Hinduism from different angle. He was a Vedantist, but he related every thought of Hinduism to the spirit, to the importance of to the soul that we keep here. He began his lecture with Sisters and Brothers of America and continued, if the parliament of religion has shown anything to the world, it is this. It has proved to the world that holiness, purity and charity are not the exclusive possessions of any church in the world, that every system has produced men and women of the most exalted character. In the face of this evidence, if anybody dreams of the exclusive survival of his own religion and the destruction of the others, I pity him from the bottom of my heart and point out to him that upon the banner of religion will soon be written, in spite of resistance, help and not fight, assimilation and not destruction, harmony and peace and not dissension. So it was having the bewitching power or force and affected the thousands of delegates sitting over there. And the speech of his speech was the longest speech in the parliament. I have enumerated some important facts that I came through at the time of reading his speech. It was on Vedas. He pointed out how Vedas is the key source of Hinduism. He related Hinduism to modern science and science of spirit. Third, how he said, I am not a body, but the everlasting, indestructible spirit. Hinduism does not believe in the original sin, but immortality. Hinduism, he says, does not believe in the original sin or destructive instinct of human being. It believes in the good being and immortality. The fourth point that we can trace out is about importance of karma he described in relation to Gita. Karmannevadikarastu ma phalesu kadachana. The action is in your hand. You need not to care of the result of your action. Action will pay. As Lord Krishna has characterized the ways and paths of gaining or receiving knowledge, and he affirms that action oriented search for truth pays only the path of God. So, karma or action in Gita has been paid more attention than other elements of the world. Swami Vivekananda has been also doing it. He related the importance of karma, describing Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Here at the same time, I would like to add something else, that in one of the essays of T.S. Eliot entitled Dante, The title of that essay is Dante, in which he confessed Srimad Bhagavad Gita is one of the greatest books of the world, because he was much influenced by the philosophy of action. And he incorporated that theme in many of his poems. The importance of karma can be found in his poem, The Four Quadrants. It is karma which transcends you from the time. It causes man to transcend time. So, Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna's preaching collection, has been described in a very different manner in this particular essay. Next point which we encounter at the time of reading this essay is about the self-realization. He described Hinduism as a religion which enforces us to gain or receive the power of self-realization. The goal of Hinduism thus is to receive the power of self-realization. He defended idolatry, next point is, in this essay. He said, truth can be found going from lower to the higher. Idols are not good, but they are the image of the God. The image of God tells the lower truth, which leads you to the higher truth about God with G capital. So thus he defended idolatry, and very much positively he described the importance of idolatry, and he created indirectly to the to those who criticized bitterly idolatry, including Buddhism. He thought Buddhism as a broader tradition of Sanatana Dharma. And finally, he emphasized on religious harmony, restoring by faith in purity. The second enlightened author of our tradition is Sri Aurobindo. His essay, which was written in response to William Archer, the title of this essay is India Civilized? You must also know the fact that Is India Civilized had already been written by Sir John Woodroffe, but Sri Aurobindo felt not satisfied well with the exposition of Sir John Woodroffe, and by describing what is India civilized, and by giving some kind of review on Sir John Woodroffe is India civilized, in the very first section of this essay, he goes beyond the idea of Woodroffe. He talks about natural harmony of physical, mental and spiritual. He says one cannot achieve anything if he or she doesn't achieve natural harmony of physical, mental and spiritual. See, we are much divided, and there are many literature, many writings have already been written. I have discussed in some sessions written by Kamala Das and other existentialist short story writers and modernist writers who wanted to show the split personality of a man. The personality of a man is not a single, it has been made of many broken things. So harmony, natural harmony of physical and mental and spiritual is mandatory according to Sri Aurobindo in order to gain the civilization. Civilization without natural harmony of physical, mental and spiritual is not possible. Not at all possible. The third point which he puts forth is about India has heritage of spiritual enlightenment due to dharma and faith in spirit in everything. He says, since some centuries Europe has become material, predatory, aggressive, and has lost the harmony of the inner and outer world. Man, which is the true meaning of civilization and the efficient condition of a true progress. A progress or efficient condition of a man or civilization cannot be possible without harmony of the inner world with the outer world. We need to understand who lives within us, and we need to understand, are we following that man? We will find, if we assess ourselves and our action, we will find that how much we are divided in ourselves. We think something else, we speak something else, we act something else. So from thinking to action, we are in ourselves divided. We don't follow ourselves. How can anybody follow you then? So natural harmony of physical, mental and spiritual results in the human civilization. He puts forward 3 stages of international interaction. This is very, very important theory if one wants to get it. He says that conflict and competition, concert and sacrifice. These 3 stages are through which international relationship can be maintained. And he says that we are at the first stage. We are not on the second or third. We are far from the second and third. The next thinker or Indian non-fiction writer of our tradition is A.K. Kumaraswamy. Born in Ceylon, son of Tamil father, English mother, brought up in England, was a geologist from academic point of view or by profession, distressed by the corrosive effects of British colonialism and world wars, was not able to find the reasons behind the wars. He was much distressed of thinking about the collapsed condition of human being. He wrote one of very famous books, say non-fictional prose, is The Dance of Shiva. Typical mythological Indian folk-told work is this. It contains 13 essays, excluding the essay entitled The Dance of Shiva. Thus, it has 14 essays collection in itself, published in 1918. Signifies the image of dancing Shiva. Nataraj in the light practices, and in the, Nataraj is the symbol of power, the symbol of music, the symbol of natya, the symbol of drama, the symbol of power of this world, the symbol of anger of God, the symbol of destruction, creation, destruction, and nourishing also. All these aspects have been discussed in the Dance of Shiva. In this essay, in this book, the Shakti tradition of Bengal has also been described as one of the dynamics of the Lord Shiva himself. The great one, the national patron, great man of our nation, M.K. Gandhi, is the next man of non-fictional prose contained as course item in this paper. His essay, what is Hindu Swaraj, and which came into the form of a book also, is in the form of dialogue, and he followed the Platonic style of writing, as Plato used to write and discuss his thought by putting one or more characters. In most of his philosophical books, you find the narration and dialogue. So, what is Hindu Swaraj? is also in the form of dialogue. The reader and editor, these two are the uh, men of discussion. Reader expresses or stands for typical Indian. Editor stands for Gandhi, and he explains how Swaraj is and how it can be achieved. This idea is explained throughout 19 chapters of this book. Jawaharlal Nehru is the next prominent non-fictional author in Indian English literature. But Discovery of India is a huge book, so you have to read only these chapters I mentioned here, chapter 1, 4, 7, 30 and other two. The first chapter exposes the childhood and his origin. Next chapter exposes the early education involvement and influence of Oscar Wilde on his creativity, and he also expresses how much he was affectionate to arts for art's sake movement and aesthetic value of literature. And in the next chapter, chapter 8, he talks about the leadership of Gandhiji and other burning issues of the current or contemporary India. He talked also about the violence in the Amritsar. And the 30th chapter disclosed his jail experience and his experiences that he encountered in many jails at the time of freedom fighting movements. Next chapter is about British rule and its contribution. The last chapter is entitled as epilogue, which expresses the idea of hybridity, mixture of the West and East. And he recalls Alexander Pope alluding him, the higher one goes, the more notorious becomes the journey, and the summit recedes into the clouds. Yet the climbing is worth the effort and has its own joy and satisfaction. With these lines, he concludes the book Discovery of India. But with the help of these chapters, he wanted to express his love toward India, its culture, its living and sustaining history and the encountered experience which he had ever felt as a father, as a nationalist, as a patriot, and as an academician, as a student, and as a social being living in Indian culture. Vikram Seth and Amitav Ghosh, these two contemporary non-prose fictionists have also been given in your syllabus, and they wrote travelogue. You have been given to read travelogue of these two authors. The first travelogue is Heaven Lake. From Heaven Lake, it has been written by Vikram Seth, covered 1980 to 1980, and Seth recorded these years in the script. He travelled via Tibet and Nepal to Delhi. But he is very, very sensible and true to his account and true to his facts collected day to day during his travel and journey. It is an actual account of this journey. Amitav Ghosh is dancing in Colombia at large in Burma, which was published in 1998. She has described her experience in three parts of this travelogue. First part, anthropological description of sea journey of King Sisobath, the last king of Cambodia before Pol Pot took over. And second part is the description of various aspects of the 12th Cambodian temple Angkor Wat. And third part describes the historical existence and struggle for the democracy in Burma. So these three parts are intentionally given to expose the art, culture, history, and bewitching power of natural elements of these places. Thank you very much.